Regret doesn't explode. It creeps in quietly when you stop existing for someone and start living for yourself. You can't manufacture remorse with noise or spectacle. Begging won't bend destiny. Guilt is a shallow currency. The man who claws for attention keeps himself small. Regret grows in the absence of theatrics. It arrives when your life becomes routine and impermeable. She will feel nothing at first. The first nights are calm for her, not because she healed, but because novelty is intoxicating. Relief masquerades as freedom early on. That relief is deceptive. Most men panic at that calm and scramble to prove value. Don't. Your power is in staying immovable. Silence is not emptiness, it's a shield. When you stop trying to explain, you remove her map. Without a map, her imagination does the work. Questions become doubts. Doubt corrodes the stories she told herself to feel right. You didn't earn regret by being loud. You earn it by being irrevocably steady. Redirect every ounce of attention away from her absence and into your daily architecture. Build rituals that leave no space for rumination. Train your body until your mind follows. Create work that demands presence. Read, plan, sweat, sleep on time, and keep appointments with yourself sacred. Discipline is the quiet engine of transformation. It doesn't beg for notice. It produces results. Those results whisper louder than any boastful post. Stop policing her actions or analyzing her timeline. Obsession is proof you still care what she thinks. The man who stops observing gains clarity. Clarity dissolves confusion and breeds a new appetite. You will become uninterested in small tests disguised as casual messages. When tests arrive, answer with silence or a simple truth that costs nothing emotionally. Boundaries are not punishments, they're statements of identity. Let your life radiate a rhythm she can no longer influence. Let your mornings be non-negotiable and your nights productive. Saturate your schedule with things that reinforce worth. Replace scrolling with building. Replace checking with creating. Every small victory compounds into a presence she remembers differently. You don't perform stability, you live it. Performance invites skepticism. Authenticity dismantles it. Her ego wants proof that she still matters to you. Deny her that proof and watch the internal narrative shift. Without access to your emotional state, she must reconstruct what you are. Reconstruction is dangerous because it relies on imperfect memories and new lies. She will invent reasons for your disappearance. Those inventions often point back to her. They erode certainty where certainty once existed. Time becomes your ally when you remain consistent. Slow, persistent growth unmasks fleeting thrills. Regret prefers the cold room where memories echo at 2 in the morning. By then the flash parties have faded and temporary flings reveal their hollowness. When she wakes into a life that lacks your steadiness, comparison is inevitable. Comparison favors what was real, steady, and present. This is restoration. You restore your value through lived habits, not social theater. When your peace is unassailable, her influence diminishes. Regret follows like a shadow when light chooses to live somewhere else. Keep rising, stay steady. The first calm after she leaves isn't peace, it's shock disguised as freedom. She breathes easier not because she's over you, but because she believes she's escaped pressure. That illusion feels empowering. It's the high before the crash. She'll tell herself this is liberation, a return to self. Don't fall for the performance. The mask of relief always cracks once silence starts to echo. You're not gone in her mind yet, you're just on mute. Your absence hasn't registered, it's still a novelty. She's feeding on attention from others, validation from friends, distractions that numb instead of heal. It feels good for a while. Every rebound, every party, every new name in her phone, they're all morphine hits, not medicine. She's not healing, she's avoiding the withdrawal. But withdrawal comes for everyone. When the noise fades, the void hums louder. That's when absence starts to breathe. Don't chase to interrupt it. Don't text to remind her. Let the silence stretch until it becomes a mirror. That mirror shows her what she lost without you saying a word. Her ego will fight the reflection at first. She'll post more. She'll act louder. It's camouflage for confusion. That's how she tests your composure, by flaunting what's supposed to bother you. If you flinch, she wins. If you stay calm, she begins to feel something unfamiliar: doubt. Doubt is the seed of regret. You water it by doing nothing. Every time she expects a reaction and gets stillness, she feels smaller. That's not cruelty, that's gravity correcting imbalance. Her power existed in your emotional response. Remove the reaction, and the power dissolves. This is the part most men fail. They try to prove indifference instead of living it. You don't prove control by pretending. You prove it by no longer needing validation. The man who stops performing becomes unpredictable. Unpredictability disrupts her comfort. She can't measure you anymore. The more unreadable you become, the more her curiosity grows. Curiosity turns into tension. That tension lives in the silence between her scrolling and remembering. Your stillness whispers through her mind when everything else goes quiet. That's where the bond reverses. You no longer orbit her mood. She starts orbiting the memory of yours. This is why patience is power. Silence creates the stage for truth to appear. She will start replaying moments not to feel love again, but to find control again. But there's nothing to grab now. Your stillness becomes a wall. Behind that wall is your rebuilding. Every habit you form now rewrites her perception later. She can't admit it, but the shift unsettles her. When the new attention fades and the nights feel heavier, she'll remember how stable you felt. That stability becomes rare in hindsight. She'll wonder how you detached so easily. The answer is simple. You didn't detach to punish, you detached to evolve. Freedom is not rebellion. It's discipline. The first calm she celebrates will one day be the silence she fears. That's how regret begins its slow return, not through your noise, but through your absence that keeps its shape. Stop telling your story to people who already chose to leave. When you stop justifying yourself, you reclaim energy. Silence is not surrender, it is strategy. Refuse the urge to narrate your pain. Your reaction trained her. Stop the lesson. Make your inner life private again. Unreadability confuses the pattern she learned. If she can't predict your moves, she can't control your mood. Blank spaces force her imagination to work overtime. Imagination fills gaps with worst-case drafts. Those drafts haunt her more than truth ever could. You don't need to send evidence of your growth. Let change be quiet and undeniable. Private progress cuts through public noise. Drop the need for symmetry in responses. You owe no explanations for boundaries. When you stop being available on demand, your absence becomes a punctuation mark. Let that punctuation last. Unpatterned men become stories worth retelling. Detach from comment sections and breadcrumb checks. The less you explain, the less she can weaponize your words. A closed book becomes intriguing again. Readability is a liability. Mystery is protection. Guard your routines like a fortress. Appearances should feel effortless, not staged. Don't curate emotions for an audience. Truth doesn't require amplification. If she tries to map you, give her contours, not directions. When curiosity replaces certainty, influence erodes. Curiosity is the currency of doubt. Your quiet competence will disturb her equilibrium. She expects a script. Give her improvised silence. Let flinches happen in her head, not on your phone. Disengage from the urge to witness her new life. Observation is still involvement. Healing grows in spaces where you're not watching. Stop collecting clues of her mood. Those clues are chains disguised as metrics. Freedom begins when you refuse to measure her. Make absence functional, not dramatic. Fill voids with craft, not comparisons. Compound small disciplines into irreversible gains. Lift heavier. Create better. Speak less about progress. When your results accumulate privately, they announce themselves. Actions anchor identity more than arguments. Detach without detachment theater. Avoid performative coldness. Embody calm. Real detachment is full and unbothered. When she expects reaction and finds tranquility, the balance shifts. Tranquility isn't silence for effect, it's an internal renovation. She will start reliving fragments and reassigning meaning. Those fragments rarely flatter the ego. They force reconsideration. She used to have a ledger of your responses. Now she has a void with consequence. That void prompts replay. Replays lead to questions. Questions collapse the narrative she told herself. You become less explainable and more memorable. Memory favors what resists easy understanding. Let your life be a slow reveal. Stop being a book on fast forward. Make curiosity work for you. And above all, stop chasing interpretation. Your life is not for her verdict. Resist temptation to check her replies. Tests mean she's measuring influence, not affection. Your standards should remain immovable. When she reaches you, evaluate her with the same gravity you apply to yourself. Growth isn't negotiated in text threads. It is proven in daily practice and consistent decisions. Let time translate your value without commentary. Keep walking toward better daily. Drop the need to announce every improvement. Let work speak before you do. Stop broadcasting every milestone as if validation is earned in comments. True transformation is private, not performative. Build systems that outlast moods. Show up to your schedule even when no one watches. Start small, an early alarm, a cold shower, 30 minutes of reading. Repeat without romance. Rituals replace emotion with dependability. Make your body a temple of habit. Train deliberately. Eat with purpose. Sleep on schedule. When your energy is predictable, your presence becomes dependable. That reliability is magnetic. Create goals with deadlines and treat them like appointments with destiny. Consistent effort compounds into reputational weight. A man who honors his plans becomes unshakable. Replace anxious scrolling with productive discomfort. If you feel empty, fill it with craft. Make something that requires concentration. Build with your hands or mind until distraction loses allure. Work that demands focus blocks nostalgia. Structure your day into focus blocks and sacred rest. Guard those blocks like contracts. Saying no becomes a muscle. Decline invitations that dilute progress. Preserve margins for growth, not noise. Your circle matters. Surround yourself with people who elevate standards. Conversations should sharpen, not soothe complacency. Cut ties with the habitual energy drains. Associate with creators, not consumers. Financial discipline is emotional discipline. Pay your obligations, save deliberately, and invest in skills. Money managed well reduces anxiety and clears space for meaning. Master one skill rather than chasing shallow variety. Depth breeds confidence. That confidence shows even in silence. Keep your projects in motion. Deadlines are invisible teachers. Document progress privately. A journal of wins removes the need for external praise. Record metrics of improvement, then forget them publicly. Growth is a ledger you keep for yourself. Let art, movement, and labor become your answers. When people ask what you've been doing, your results will speak. Your posture, tone, and timing change when your life has momentum. Practice patience with outcomes. The impatient always narrate their struggle. The patient simply arrive at solutions. You don't need to announce boundaries, you need to maintain them. Humility without surrender shows strength. When you honor yourself first, others take cues. Discomfort is part of evolution. Welcome it without drama. Detach from reactive habits like checking feeds at midnight. Swap reactive behaviors for deliberate acts. Breathe, plan, execute. Keep your language tight and your promises tighter. When temptation to respond arises, ask what the reply would cost. If the reply degrades your future, don't send it. Reduce noise by designing environments that support focus. Create a workspace that signals seriousness. Choose friends who keep their word. When you lose time to gossip, you lose leverage in life. Protect your calendar like a fortress. Repeat core practices until they become identity. Identity outlasts grief. Make progress daily in small measurable ways. When you measure less by others and more by standards, freedom follows. Your life becomes a statement without needing commentary. Build in solitude, return in purpose. The work you keep private becomes the legacy no one can take away. Contrast wins where spectacle fails. You are not here to choreograph pain. Stop crafting scenes for emotional returns. Let life shift the narrative without your direction. When your actions change genuinely, they become undeniable. Show, don't stage. Consistency outlives grand gestures. Contrast is the space between a sudden flare and a steady burn. One demands applause, the other sustains warmth. Make presence a steady baseline, not a billboard for attention. Her memory will naturally compare what was with what is. Don't construct hollowness to bait an effect. Absence that feels staged reads cheap. Choose absence because you value substance over spectacle. If she seeks chaos, give her the calm that exposes it. Contrast clarifies priorities. It signals what your life now contains that she cannot provide. When people chase novelty, quiet progress outlives the chase. She will prod the edges of what you've built. Those prods reveal residual influence. Honor tests by preserving the same standard you set for yourself. If she attempts provocation, refuse to follow the script. Refusal redirects value back to you. You are not choreography for her lessons. Contrast is not revenge, it is revelation. It unravels patterns that once looked acceptable. The short-term thrills of others show their limits quickly. What endures is depth built through discipline. Invest in fundamentals that support prolonged presence. Steady habits create visible change across months. Small differences accumulate until the gap becomes obvious. Stop displaying progress to a crowd. Real change requires time, privacy, and repetition. The separation between your life and her new life becomes a mirror. Mirrors expose neglected facts she chose to ignore. Allow that mirror to work without commentary. When friends notice your momentum, that recognition can be satisfying. But do not let applause be the standard. Let integrity be the measure of success. Contrast builds respect rather than shallow longing. Respect attracts attention in a way desire cannot. Attention earned through routine points back to character. Character can't be manufactured in short bursts. It is proved through consistent decisions. Those choices form a quiet reputation. A quiet reputation requires fewer explanations. It needs discipline, not drama. Make your social energy finite and precise. Spend less time proving and more time producing. Limited reaction clarifies what you represent. Scarcity of response is not weaponized, it is prioritization. When she watches from a distance, she re-evaluates priorities unconsciously. She notices what used to be everywhere now rare. That sense of lacking creates internal friction. Regret emerges from that friction, not from tricks. You do not create it through cheating systems. You cultivate it by living differently and with intent. The objective is never to coerce a return. The aim is to become independent of her verdict. When your life stands without rescue, you become indisputable. That state is the most persuasive argument you will ever offer. Stand still and let contrast be your voice. Let time finish the translation. Keep standards high. Respond only to reality, not tests. Build forward with patience. Your future will do the convincing. Silence born of growth is unmistakable and final. She will prod the boundary to see if it flexes. Tiny interactions will be framed as tests. A casual like, a short message, a late-night meme, they are probes, not invitations. Recognize tests for what they are and refuse participation. If you answer to prove a point, you hand authority back. Preserve quiet dignity instead. Treat triggers as signals to reinforce limits. Don't explain why you won't engage. Acting proves enough. A firm non-reaction is often clearer than a detailed reply. Learn the economy of silence. Respond only when alignment exists. Your energy is the resource to ration. Keep your attention selective. When provoked, act like value is scarce, because it is. Say less. Mean more. Establish simple rules for contact and honor them without theatrics. A short confirmation or no response are both valid tools. Neither requires dramatics. Do not weaponize distance. Use it to protect progress. Tests reveal whether boundaries are respected or met with manipulation. If tests persist, tighten standards. Consistency is the consequence of clear limits. When you maintain composure, you recalibrate power naturally. People assume influence returns when you react. Block that assumption permanently. Systems replace negotiation. When an attempt to pull you back appears, let your systems do the work. Daily structure answers emotional bait more reliably than willpower alone. Meet offers of attention with the same economy you use for any other resource. That means measured replies, timed visibility, and a refusal to be a rebound option. Refuse to serve as an emotional safety net for someone who chose escape. Make reconciliation contingent on real change, not nostalgia. Tests are often cloaked in casualness. Watch for tone, timing, and consistency. If the gesture is sporadic, treat it as curiosity, not commitment. If behavior aligns over time, then reassess with care. Forgiveness is earned through steady reliability, not sudden remorse. Keep a private ledger of interactions to prevent self-deception. Record patterns, not excuses. Use facts to judge, not feelings. If you choose to engage, do so from abundance, not deficit. Never respond out of loneliness or vanity. A measured comeback must feel aligned with your growth, otherwise it reverses progress. Re-engaging should improve your life, not resume old cycles. Keep communication efficient and purpose-driven. Questions need answers only if they move you forward. Avoid conversational traps that slither back into old dynamics. When she escalates tests, stay procedural. Calm logistics beat emotional bargaining. Set terms for meetings, topics, and timelines if reconciliation is on the table. Boundaries become credible the moment you enforce them without apology. There is no virtue in needless explanations. Actions validate claims. Words are cheap. Let your schedule be the enforcement mechanism. If she cannot meet the standards you set, maintain your distance. Rescinding access with dignity sends a clear message. The point is transformation, not scoreboard tallies. Guard your progress by refusing to be redirected. Tests will come again. Prepare systems that survive them. Over time, consistent non-reaction becomes the new norm and her tests lose potency. That loss of influence is the true payment for boundary work. Regret rarely announces itself with fanfare. It settles into small, consistent moments that sting later. Nights become the testing ground, quiet hours where memories have no audience. She will revisit ordinary scenes and find them sharper than before. Not because the past was perfect, but because comparison exposes what lacks depth now. Realization often arrives when a new connection fails to meet the rhythm you once provided. He might be exciting, but excitement is a short fuse. Your steadiness ages better than his fireworks. She will measure again, unconsciously tallying what comfort felt like versus what novelty delivers. Those calculations are subtle and cruel. They don't always produce tears. They produce avoidance, hesitation, the soft admission that something real exceeded the substitutes. Regret plants itself in the gaps between distraction and responsibility. When distraction runs out, the ledger rebalances. You will see it in the small signals she can't hide: a pause longer than usual, a flinch when your name appears, a search across old photos that lingers. She may try to simulate closure with quick messages, but the content will be thin. The tone will ask for permission more than honesty. Those tentative approaches show she's memorizing your absence. Don't confuse her experiments with repair. They're reflexes, not commitments. Regret is a private ache, not a public drama. It lives in solitary moments when she cannot perform for validation. The tougher the exterior she builds, the more brittle it becomes under solitude. What she once dismissed as predictability begins to read like refuge. That irony is a silent knife. It cuts because perception shifts from pastime to priority. This stage is not about manipulation. It is about consequence. Your evolution forces context. People compare experiences all the time. Comparison is how most people learn to value. When her options reveal themselves as comparable but inferior, the original relationship gains weight in memory. Memory favors depth when novelty proves shallow. You won't win this phase by pleading or proving. You win by continuing the life that caused the shift. Maintain standards. Keep your routines. Show up for your work and your health. Let friends observe the change rather than you broadcasting it. Observers will be honest. They'll comment, notice, and whisper what you don't say. Social proof without spectacle is persuasive. If she reaches out, assess the evidence. Look for consistency over weeks, not a spike over a weekend. Words without follow-through are cheap now. Actions are the currency of regained credibility. If she demonstrates steady improvements, consider measured conversation. If she offers nostalgia without responsibility, preserve your progress. Your refusal to regress is not cruelty, it's respect for what you built. Ultimately, regret does not guarantee reunion. It often arrives as a lesson without resolution. Prepare for the possibility that her realization will change her, not you. Let that be enough. You weren't building to be chased, you were building to be whole. When regret settles, it will do so quietly, and your life will be louder evidence than any apology could be. Stay steady, keep rising. If she comes back haunted by regret, start by checking the distance you've traveled. Listen without leaping. Absorb words, don't surrender standards. Your growth altered your preferences and expectations. Don't let nostalgia trick you into old compromises. Allow space for explanation, but treat promises as claims to be verified. Observe consistency before reconciling. One night of remorse does not equal long-term reform. Demand patterns, not performances. If she offers apologies, note whether behavior follows apology. Rebuilding trust requires repeated, visible effort. Set clear terms for engagement and outline mutual responsibilities. Make meetings purposeful with agendas that avoid emotional reversion. Keep conversation focused on accountability and practical steps forward. Avoid rehashing every grievance. Fix systems instead. Choose environments that minimize triggers and maximize constructive dialogue. When she shows steady accountability, test small collaboration before full reintegration. Start with neutral tasks that reveal character rather than passion. Gauge how she handles obligations and follow through under pressure. If she slips into old patterns, pause and recalibrate. Forgiveness should be conditional and paced. Protect your mental economy by limiting access until results appear. Let affection be earned through demonstrated change, not declared intent. If you decide to meet, plan interactions that safeguard your boundaries. Use time-limited contact and predefined topics to prevent falling back into scripts. Keep trusted friends or mentors informed to provide outside perspective. Consult your own standards, not third-party opinions, when making choices. Recognize that reunion may look different than memory. Do not attempt to recreate past dynamics. Prioritize structural compatibility over romantic nostalgia. If partnership resumes, renegotiate roles and expectations transparently. Document agreements to avoid vague assumptions and future conflict. Accept that some losses are irreversible and that reconciliation can still fail. If the attempt collapses, treat it as data, not total defeat. Use setbacks to refine boundaries and strengthen your trajectory. You are permitted to decline reunion without rancor. Declining does not require moralizing, it requires clarity. When you turn away, do so with composed conviction rather than performative rejection. Your refusal should reflect self-respect, not spite. If you accept her back, commit to ongoing self-work and mutual accountability. Let therapy, coaching, or mentorship support sustained change. Integrate practices that prevent regression and promote shared growth. Measure progress against concrete indicators, not feelings alone. Remember that the goal is a healthier life, not a vindictive comeback. Your choices should enhance long-term peace and emotional autonomy. Whatever path you choose, align actions with the version of yourself you built in solitude. Do not barter your hard-earned standards for temporary comfort. The final decision must honor your dignity and the life you are creating. Hold fast to habits that made you stronger during absence. If reunion occurs, let history inform discipline. If it doesn't, let your advancement be the outcome. Either way, continue building a life that validates itself without external permission. Live so the evidence of your growth requires no explanation. Keep expectations realistic, and remember that maturity is proven over seasons, not single gestures. Endurance and daily honor define whether reconciliation becomes healthy or harmful. Choose peace consistently. Always.